So this Lamar Jackson situation is something I think we should continue to talk about. With the signing of Odell Beckham Jr., people are getting speculation that he's going to come back, and I say just pause on that. I'm gonna hear why and talk about everything in this video. Just kind of first starting off with Odell Beckham signing. What does that mean for the Ravens? I'll tell you one thing: it means absolutely nothing. I think that Lamar Jackson did his due diligence, in reaching out. I don't even know if he even talked to Lamar Jackson beforehand. Odell did beforehand before he signed because with I'm sure the Ravens went after Odell to say, hey, look, Lamar Jackson, we're getting you receivers, we're getting you guys, we're getting you players that can make plays, and this is going to help you in your game, so we don't have to pay you as much. That's pretty much why they're getting all these guys, so they can say they don't have to pay them that much. And but I don't think that the Odell Beckham deal was a reflection of Lamar Jackson's thing or not. It was just a deal for Odell himself to get a deal. He didn't care about whether Lamar Jackson was going to be there because no team was really taking advantage of him to pay him for that price point. The Jets were pretty much not sold on him. They have Lazard, Garrett Wilson. They're not worried about paying Odell to be a number 2, 3 guy on that team that much. So Lamar's not asking for more players. Lamar Jackson's saying, pay me. He's saying, pay me what I'm worth, and I can work with what I have. You put him in a new offense, and he goes out, and I'm sure he performs well. But getting players is not what he asked for. And it's funny because, I think that's what a lot of companies do. Hey, I want a raise. Here's a pizza party, right? That's pretty much what they threw at Lamar Jackson. He's asking for a raise, and they're refusing to give him a raise. Here's a gift card to Applebee's, right? That's what they're doing. So the idea is to set the narrative against Lamar Jackson. And I say that because here's the thing. When the Seahawks traded away Russell Wilson to the Broncos, here's what they traded him for. Seahawks they traded Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, Drew Lock, a 22 and 2023 first round pick, a 22 and 2023 second round pick, and a 2022 fifth round pick. So essentially 3 picks this year, 2 picks next year. And then he went on to sign a 5-year, $245 million contract extension, averaging $49 million a year. Last season, the deal contains $165 million guaranteed with $124 million fully guaranteed at signing, which is the second most ever in NFL contract history. So second highest contract in NFL history ever. Russell Wilson got that. And if I ask you who's better, Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson right now, 110% of the time you're going to choose Lamar Jackson. Now, check this out. So understand that they got two first round picks in consecutive years, two second round picks, and then a 5th round pick along with other players. Let's look at Deshaun Watson. When the Texans traded Deshaun Watson, they traded Deshaun Watson and a 6th round pick to the Browns for a 2022, 2023, 2024 first round picks, a 2022 4th round pick, a 2023 3rd round pick, and a 2024 4th round pick. And the Browns gave him a fully guaranteed contract with $230 million. So understand they gave up 6 picks for Watson. The Broncos gave up 5 picks for Wilson. Why is that important? Because for this non-exclusive tag, Lamar Jackson, they only have to give up 2 first-round picks. And I'm gonna get to this later, but they only have to give up 2 first-round picks. That's little in comparison to what Lamar Jackson's worth and what we've seen in the past. Just so you know, 2 first-round picks is what Jamal Adams, Jalen Ramsey, and Laramie Tunsil were traded for. They were traded for more than 2 first-round picks. And this is a quarterback. So pretty much 2 first-round picks are petty cash. Now, so teams aren't going to trade for Lamar Jackson right now. They're not going to do that. The reason is because the draft, where we might see teams trade for Lamar Jackson, is after the draft, because after the draft, now they can trade for those 2024 and 2025 first-round picks, and nothing's going to happen. So the reason why there's no movement on Lamar Jackson right now, and no one's talking about this, is simply because of this reason. A team is not going to give up this year's a team is not going to give up their first round pick this year for Lamar Jackson for the non-exclusive tag. They're going to give up their 2024 and 2025 first round picks, because ideally Lamar Jackson is going to put them in playoff contention. So those picks won't be worth really anything if they do that after the draft. So I would expect more teams from after the draft until, and the Ravens are aware of this as well too, until when he has to decide if he's going to think June, July, or something like that. He has to decide if he's going to be play on the first year on the franchise tag or not. We'll see more chatter around Lamar Jackson, because teams may be more willing to give up a 2024 and 2025 pick for Lamar as opposed to something in this draft. But I want to segue to the idea of the durability of Lamar Jackson. This idea is just it makes no sense. If you look at Lamar Jackson and when he got injured and how he got injured on normal plays. It wasn't because of him running out the pocket and doing something crazy. Both the first time he was eluding a sack, he got injured inside the pocket. The second time, it was a late hit. And if you see on the very first play, they sent Lamar Jackson on. They sent out receivers on pretty much a 3-man route that was blanketed by 7 DBs, and they failed to block for Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson was proceeding to run out the pocket, which is a normal football play. It wasn't him doing anything crazy like trying to cut. It was just the way the player landed on him. And if that was Tom Brady or Josh Allen, it would definitely be a pat roughing the passer. The second time, it was him. Second time, it was him throwing a screen, which the screen got busted. Fortunately, he completed the pass and actually got called back for legal man downfield. But he completed the pass, and then it was a late hit. The ball's already down the field, and the player went to twist his ankle. That should have been pass interference. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing two plays that don't really question his durability. Is Lamar Jackson durable? Has nothing to do with that, because if that was any other quarterback, they would have got flagged for it, or they wouldn't even let them touch him. But the idea is Lamar Jackson, since he's a runner, you can hit him. He doesn't have the same rules as I hate to say is Josh Allen, who's also a runner as well too. But it makes me go to what Ben Roethlisberger said about Lamar Jackson, saying teams don't fear him. First of all, I understand what he's saying when it comes to him, killing you when it comes to in the pocket. Ben Roethlisberger obviously has not watched Lamar Jackson, and that's the grace I'm giving him, because I'm not sure what he's doing. He's just doing his podcast, but he hasn't watched Lamar Jackson, and I don't think he's watched football over the past 5 years, because his last 3 to 4 years in the NFL were abysmal. We know that the Steelers were doing, and Mike Tomlin was doing him a service. He hurt the team doing Ben Roethlisberger a service by letting him play out and not shipping him somewhere. And Ben Roethlisberger, but believe me, he had nothing left when he retired, nothing at all. He had nothing left 2 years before he retired. So I'm not sure how much football he's watching, but if you watch football, Lamar Jackson is lethal in the pocket. In fact, we all heard about it. Lamar Jackson's career passer quarterback rating in the pocket, 97.9, Big Ben 94.2. Career QBR in the pocket, Lamar Jackson 64.9, Big Ben 63.4. And that's with not having Santonio Holmes, not having Antonio Brown, not having Martavius Bryant, not having Hines Ward, not having what's the guy's name? Emmanuel Sanders, not having the other fast guy's name, but not having what was it? The guy, Juju Smith-Schuster. This is where and Chase Claypool. I should you mention Chase Claypool, but Ben Roethlisberger had more weapons. So we can't even look at this statement to be even credible, right? We just scratched off and give Big Ben a pass, but understand that Lamar has been in an offense that forces him to play. He hasn't been in an offense that forces teams for them to play the pass. They play the run, and where teams have highlighted Lamar Jackson and have used him as a missile, why would a team game plan? So it's nothing against Lamar Jackson not being capable or not fearing him. It's the way the offense was designed. So the statement shouldn't even been said. What Big Ben said was Lamar Jackson played in an offense where you're not afraid of him picking you apart because the emphasis is on running the ball. So I say that because let's look at some numbers, right? And I don't like just putting out fluff, but let's look at numbers. Lamar Jackson, if you look at pass yards after completion, he is 24th lowest in the feed in the league. Basically, out of all the teams in all the quarterbacks in the league, he's 24th lowest, meaning his players get the 24th lowest yak yards after catch. You have a lot of tight ends; they're not playmakers. A lot of them not playmakers like the receivers, so they don't get a lot of yak. But believe it or not, he's also had the highest drop percentage last year in the NFL. So out of all his pass catchers, they've had the highest drop percentage in the NFL. How do you expect Lamar Jackson, right, to be lethal from the pocket, or how do you expect Lamar Jackson to have a passing attack that is that dominant when his receivers dropped the most passes on average in the NFL last year? Lamar Jackson hasn't had the players and or been in the offense to be successful and or exploit his full capabilities. Lamar Jackson has done that with limited resources. So what do you have? You have a lot of tight ends catching and falling. I actually broke down film on this. Lamar Jackson has thrown the ball in tight spots. He's made plays. And I say this, stop the narrative around Lamar Jackson being injury prone. Stop the narrative around Lamar Jackson not being able to pass because he's debunked all this. Teams are not going to place any type of offer for Lamar Jackson right now because they don't want to give up their pick this year. Now, after the draft, they'll be more willing to give their 2024 and 2025 draft picks because it will be next year, and they will most likely be in playoff contention where those will be high picks, and they're not giving something nice or good away. So this Lamar Jackson situation is just beginning. It's going to get more interesting after the draft. I think the Ravens know that. I think Lamar Jackson knows that, and I really believe that Lamar Jackson has to wait this thing out, and then we're going to see some offers come during that time period. I expect to see offers for Lamar Jackson after the draft.